Today's the day. My mom finally found her dream home. But here's the thing, it's on 5 acres and it's in a fire hazard area. We only have 6 months to make it happen, so let's see if we can do it. The reason I'm confident that we can make this happen in 6 months and make a complete remodel into something absolutely beautiful is because my husband and I have flipped houses and done this for years now. We know the ins and outs of what you need in order to make a house from start to finish, bad to good. We've done fire damage, water damage, all that you can think of. We here also have a goal to be able to show you how much everything costs. I think often people talk about renovations, they talk about what they do, but nobody ever shows the numbers. We want to show you the numbers. She bought this property for $1.3 million, and the goal is to spend anywhere between $300,000 and $500,000 to fix this property. I will say though, we have quite a project ahead of us. Let's see if we can make it happen in 6 months. The great part about living on a 5-acre property or buying a 5-acre property is that you have space. So number one, they had the ability to buy an RV so that my mom's husband's mom could live in there. Then the property already had an ADU where they could live themselves. This was one of the reasons that we really pushed for this type of house, is because it gave them the ability to actually be able to spend the time and effort needed to invest into their home. One of the very unique things about this property is that it's in a fire zone. This could be looked at as a negative or a positive. The positive part is this property in particular, when there was fires a couple years ago, actually was hopped over. There was no fire damage to this property outside of the borders of this property. As time went on, the sheriffs and the fire department actually realized that this was the perfect landing ground to be able to be the fire station if it were to ever happen again. So the great part with this property is that there will actually be automatic protection to the property because of that. The other thing is we are taking a lot of precautions like a metal roof to make sure to help insurance purposes and to make sure we solidify the protection of this home as well. Welcome to my mom's dream home. Well, not her dream home quite yet. We have a lot of work to do. So I want to start to show you this entire house from start to finish. But first, let's start with the kitchen, because the kitchen is the heart of the home and there's a lot that we're going to be doing to this property in general. But I think for all of us, the kitchen is the most important, being that that's where we spend time with family. That's where we cook, we clean, all the things. So let's show you the kitchen. So as you can see, as we're walking into this kitchen, already it's getting darker, smaller, there's less space here. I better watch out for this. Basically, our goal here is to open up this kitchen. Now, we have a few limitations. One, the ceilings here are a little bit short, and we like the ceilings. We think the ceilings are beautiful. They just need to be sanded and like refinished, so we don't want to change those. But the other part is we run into this big wall behind me. And so there's a few things that we want to do. One, we would like to open this up so that you automatically create a living room, basically, and kitchen. There's a few problems though. In this wall here, we are not sure if this is a structural beam. In our rendering and design that we did with our architect, originally the goal was to completely wipe out this wall and have nothing there, so it's all super open. But I think that there could potentially be a structural beam here, which would then make it so that we would actually have to change up the plans a little bit, because we don't want to change the structure of the house too much, because this is where the cost gets super high when you have to go into structural change. So we're going to do our best to see. Typically we see all of this stuff when you go into demo, when we start to open up all the walls. That's when we're really going to make a decision. But ultimately, this will be open to a degree, whether it becomes a bar area or some sort of like open pocket. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. Okay, so now we're going to talk about this wall here. So this wall here, we will actually have to put the fridge and the oven. Now, there's a few things here. Sirio hates to put the fridge and the oven next to each other for 2 reasons. Number one, it kills design. Number two, ultimately having a warm item that like heats up food plus a cold item that keeps food cold doesn't flow well in a kitchen. They're very contradictory to each other. And so we like to create separation with that. So with that being said, his goal is to be able to create some sort of decorative piece here that really brings to life this wall, because ultimately this wall is going to sit alone because we are eliminating a wall over here. We're going to, which I'll show you in a minute, eliminate a wall over here. And so so it's gonna kind of be an isolated wall, which means that it's gonna be a showcase when you walk in from the garage ultimately. So for us, it's really important that this wall has good dimension, good color, and is designed and the layout is done really well. So I don't know if you noticed, when we walked in here, there's a part of the wall that is actually like sticking out. Actually come over here so you can see it. So right over here on this wall, there's like an arm's length, I would say, of wall that we're going to get rid of. And so ultimately, we're losing a little bit of cabinetry, but I think it is going to be better when you like stand way back and you ultimately see this part when you walk in, plus this part eliminated. It's gonna create a lot more of an open space instead of this closed off space as you're like walking in and it's getting smaller, smaller, and smaller. This will definitely open up the kitchen. The other part is, as you can see here, there is angles and then it goes straight and then angle again. So what we're actually going to do is we are gonna make these square. So these are gonna go out. We will have to change the structure outside and ultimately like square it off. And the reason being is because here, this is where the sink is going to sit. That way it keeps a very like open space. You actually utilize this space for cabinetry, because in the past, this was just like a sitting table that we used, as you can see the lighting here, and it didn't really get used for cabinetry. And so we want to maximize every inch of this kitchen because it doesn't, ultimately it's a big kitchen, but it's not as big as you think. You can't see it now because it's there's a big box of moving stuff, but there's a beautiful view that goes this way that will be really beautiful to be able to wash your dishes to. And then we're gonna go to this side. My mom wants to keep as many windows as possible. So there's a few potentials for the window idea. This one we could potentially keep open and then close this one so that you have like more cabinetry on top here. Or we could close this one and keep this one open. Ultimately, you don't know until you follow along on our series and see what happens at the end. So you'll have to press the follow button and see what we do. But let me finish explaining the rest of this kitchen. As you can see here too, we have a garage door. This is really killing the design of the kitchen. The biggest idea that we have is to cancel this door, possibly move the house a little bit bigger and extend, have a door on the other side, and then be able to use this for cabinetry. But that all is determined based on if there is a ton of structural work. Because like I said, the structural work, when you get into this part, that is probably the most difficult and expensive part. And we don't want to get too much into that and spend absurd amounts of money on stuff that we could have made nice anyways. If we have to keep the door, most likely what will happen is it will become like a decorative door. We'll make it like a part of the kitchen, so you can't really tell it's a door, but it is a door, and we'll see how we can make it beautiful in that way as well. Last but not least is the island. I love a good island. And so what we're doing here is we're going to keep in the island the stovetop, but the stovetop is going to be pit, which is isolated burners. Therefore, we will also be using Decton, which is a wonderful type of stone, and it's actually the only stone you can use with pit, because Decton basically makes it so that no matter how hot or damaged or whatever it is that the countertop gets, it doesn't change color, it doesn't warp it, nothing. And so that's why we always use Decton or recommend it in 90% of our kitchens. And then we also love pit, not only for its actual like visual appeal, but the function of pit is insane. It has one of the highest outputs for burners. It has a wok setting that is the only burner that is actually capable of getting to the right temperature that you need for to actually do a proper wok. And so there's a lot of really cool features that Pit put into their system, not only to look beautiful visually, but also to make it super functional. Then we think there'll probably be a waterfall on both sides. We're obviously gonna make it a little bit bigger as well, but we're not 100% sure of exactly everything that will come out of the island, but there definitely will be a cabinetry on both sides like we typically do. There's a lot of great things that I just think the island really brings blends together a kitchen, but we don't want it to, because it's right in the middle of the kitchen, we don't want it to take too much space for the kitchen. So we'll kind of have to see what happens once we design the rest of the kitchen. On the first floor, this is the guest bathroom. If you can see behind me, this is where the kitchen is. So it's like a very dark, awkward hallway. So we were just talking about this beam here. Ultimately, we are trying to figure out if it's a beam or not a beam, if there's a potential for us to like take it off to make it look a little bit more like luxury and high, or to see if we can like remove this wall completely would be the ultimate goal, because you'd create more open space. But we won't know all of that until we essentially take off the drywall, see what's under all these walls, and figure out the best structure. And then this bathroom is really awkward and weird. There's like a ton of, like a huge vanity, no shower, no nothing, and a toilet. So we're gonna like create a little bit more, like I've said, intentionality in these areas. Cause I don't know, in the past, the way they design things is super strange. So it's just a lot of like redoing and creating better layouts to be able to make it look like it makes sense, unlike this. This toilet is also ancient as well. Everything here is. It's also crazy because this house, for like being in the past, was a very expensive house. It has like real wood, cabinetry, everything is real. But then you think about now how like just cheap everything feels and looks. And so when we receive it now and we pay, you know, 1.3 million for a house, you think this is what you get. It's pretty crazy. So anyways, we have a lot of work to do, but that is the interior of the house. Lots of fun stuff to do. You'll have to follow along to see what happens. I keep talking about all the reasons that I'm confident that we're the best person for a job like this, but I want to mention one of the most important things. We own and operate our own manufacturing for custom Italian kitchens. We not only design them, but we manufacture them locally here in Oceanside, California. For us, this gives us the control on not only the product, but also the time. When you order from Italy and you wait for all these beautiful luxury kitchens, yes, they're beautiful, but ultimately you're waiting 4 to 6 months, and that's all the time we have to build a house like this. For us, we cut it in half. The design time, the lead time, the installation time, everything is half the time of what it would be to have an Italian kitchen shipped here. And so for us, our goal is to make all these things easier for you. So if you need for your project something similar, please reach out to us. The easiest way is to press the link below, subscribe, follow, like, because ultimately you've made it this far and you see the value in what we're about to do. What I will tell you is we're gonna show you not only what this renovation project looks like, but we will explain on this YouTube channel anything from start to finish, kitchens, bathrooms, remodeling, anything that we see value. We'll even show you what we do in our manufacturing so you can see the behind the scenes of how all the kitchens are created. So I know you're curious for more, so just press that subscribe button and follow us for more. So the great part of this house is the bones of this house. If you can see in here, it's very light and bright, but the problem is that there was really no design or flow to this house. It kind of was just like a big open space and nothing to do with it. So this here is the wall that I was talking about in the kitchen that we will be eliminating to create a little bit more flow inside and out, because also you have a bunch of windows here that will help bring light into the kitchen. The other really cool thing that we're gonna do is up here is going to be a library. I know that sounds crazy, but there's actually gonna be an entrance from here, which is one of the bedrooms. And then we're gonna create this beautiful library that's like a showcase piece in the house. It's gonna be so awesome. So the thing with that though is that's gonna take a ton of structural work. And so like I said earlier, getting into the structural stuff costs a lot, but you have to know where to spend it. This is an area that my mom is willing to invest into the house because she really wants a feature like that. And so that's why we will be creating this library, doing all the structural things needed to be able to make that a beautiful space as well. So if you remember earlier, I was talking about the garage door and how we want to move that and all that kind of stuff. So this is the wall that we would have to move about 5 feet in order to move the garage door. So our plan here is to create a basically big bifold door here. Then on this side, we're gonna create French doors, because when we looked at it, to get a big bifold door that is that big, it's very, very expensive. And it's not necessary to have this entire wall a bifold door, but 90% will be, this will be a little French door. And then if it's possible, we will move the entire entire wall and create the garage door outside here. If you want to come over here so you can kind of see, and I'll show it better when we go outside, but there's and these all have to go because they're all very old, but there's a garage door right here that basically if we could move the entire house over, we could utilize this and remove the one in the kitchen, which would be far better for the design of everything, but we'll have to see how the structure plays out. So on the other side, this was the library, which is behind you, and then this side is where the fireplace is. This is, like I said, it's a very grand room in here. You have vaulted ceilings. The ceilings are actually super beautiful wood that we're gonna be keeping. So there's a lot of great bones here. This fireplace, honestly, for how big this space is, this like fireplace is tiny. So most likely what we'll do is probably make it a little bit bigger. And then my mom really wants to put like a kind of Italian stone that goes up as far. We don't know if we're gonna go all the way or like cut off. There's a lot of things we still have to determine, but it's gonna be like a very grand fireplace that like right when you walk in, people are like, oh my God, that's amazing. That's ultimately the goal here. So because the doorway is literally right here. So right when you walk in, this is like the first thing that you see. And so this is a really important area to make sure that we make it look as nice as possible. For us, we have recommended her to put some sort of stone, like a decton, like something like that, to keep it very like flat and classy. But ultimately she will do what she wants, and she really likes the whole stone look. So we're gonna try to combine a very like farmhouse stone with the modern European style and see how it turns out. Okay, this is my favorite part of the house, definitely is the living room area, but let me show you the rest of the house. This will be a little bit faster because it'll be the bedrooms and stuff like that. So we have 2 bedrooms down here, 1 little closet space. This is a problem too. We have to figure out how to create more storage. They have a garage, but ultimately my mom really wants a way to create more storage because you have a little bit here, then you have a tiny bit here. There's like a little cabinetry thing here, but that's really all inside. And so we need to figure out a way to create more space. This is the first room. This is like a guest room, or my sister will probably be in here. So we'll see how that turns out. And then there's a Jack and Jill bathroom. We will need a complete remodel. A lot of the kitchens and the bathroom will have similar, like very modern style with tiles and different stuff like that. But right now it's a disaster. Then it goes into this room here, which will ultimately be a workout room plus a guest room. So they have like a Murphy bed that they're gonna put on this wall here that will fold down. And then the rest of this space here will be made into like a workout room. Originally, before the owner had it as like an art room. And so my mom does art, she loves art, but she wanted like a workout room. And then we're still trying to decide, which I'll show you. In the master, there's a potential to do a sauna, but if we don't do it inside, we're gonna do it right outside these doors here because there's like sliding glass doors here. And it's nice to have like an outdoor sauna so you're experiencing the nature. I just want to touch on the numbers a little bit more. So like I mentioned, we bought the house for 1.3. She's looking to invest about 300 to 500,000 into it. Let's say on the high end, she invests 500,000. That puts the house at 1.8 million. We truly believe after the renovations of this project, how high-end the renovations are gonna be, the ADU that's sitting on the property. We have horse stables, we have 5 acres of land. There's even a garage downstairs that's a workshop garage. There's a lot of value in this property. You could easily sell it for 2 million. If not 2.2. So then imagine being that her goal is to live in the property, stay in the property for, as long as she possibly can. The value of this house is tremendous, but we always like to play the worst case scenario. If you had to sell the property immediately after renovating it, would the numbers still be good? And that's what makes us either buy or not buy a property. And so for us, this property was hands down a great deal, and we're so excited to see what we could actually do with those numbers. And our goal is always, if we can spend less, that's the goal. But ultimately, we want to create value and good quality products that go into this house because they'll be living in it. Okay, so now I will take you upstairs so you can see the rooms upstairs. We ultimately have 2 2 bedrooms upstairs, the master, and another room, which we joke is gonna be our daughter's room, Gia, but it will be like another guest room. We have a beautiful staircase here, which is another showcase piece because it's what you see actually when you walk in. So this will all be redone as well, probably like black metal stairway, very classic modern style. Okay, and then we'll go up here. It's really crazy. There's like this like big landing thing here that like creates the connection of these 2 rooms. Ultimately, we're gonna be keeping it, but it's just a really funny structure of the house. So then this is the master, which believe it or not is very small for a master. So we're gonna do our best to like maximize the space as well as design it really well. Like there'll probably be a like panel wall here to make it look really beautiful. We are gonna have to redo this entire deck here. I don't know if you can see, but there's a beautiful deck that has a really great view, but as of right now, it has a ton of termite damage and it's not super safe to be on. So we will be redoing all of that and making it so they can actually like see their view. And then there's a fireplace here. And there was a big debate back and forth between my mom and her husband, whether they were gonna keep the fireplace or not. Ultimately, my mom was like, why do we need a fireplace in the bedroom? We don't even turn it on. But my mom's husband really liked the look of it, liked the idea of having it. So we are going to keep the fireplace, but we're gonna try to make it a little bit smaller and a little bit more modern so it doesn't take up too much space in the bedroom. If you go over here, this is the master bathroom and closet. So honestly, it's really not that big, which is a little bit concerning because we're gonna have to do a lot of configuration to make it actually function. A lot of this here is just extra space and stuff that they did before. But if I'm being honest with you, I think it's still gonna be a lot smaller than we think, meaning that the closet is literally right here. Like, let me show you. The closet is really small compared to like what a master should be. And they have like all these slants in the ceilings, but we're gonna try to see if we can get rid of. We don't know if this is structural or if it's how like the architect built it. We're trying to figure that out. So we're gonna have to do a lot of configuring in this bathroom. So the goal originally was to have this be like a shower, have this be like a sauna in here, and then potentially have, my mom doesn't want a tub, so have something over here. But I think because it's so small, we're going to have to move over the closet space. My mom's got a lot of stuff, a lot of clothes, us women. And so we're gonna have to move this over. I recommended to her that we, instead of having the sauna in here, we have the sauna be outside so that she has more space for like a beautiful big shower here. She could have like we could actually create like a closed off toilet area, because I don't know if you see, this toilet is ancient, very, very old. So is this itty bitty shower here that is horrible. So we want to create a little bit more flow in here. And then you have your cabinetry here. This will be standard, but we might, a lot of reconfiguring, like I've said. So we'll see. So then let me show you the next bedroom. I'm not gonna lie to you, visually this is very cool, but as a mom of a 8-month-old, almost 9-month-old daughter who is about to walk, this is terrifying. So there will be lots of gates, lots of things to make sure she is never up here by herself, because this is very scary for me. Anyways, this is the second room. We have a bathroom here. This will be very standard remodel. It'll be beautiful. I'll match all the other bathrooms, but this is for guests to be able to stay in. And then this room is actually the room that's going to be connected to the library. So we always joke this is Gia, our daughter's room, but it really is gonna be like almost like a man cave library type area, because about here, I think, is where the door is gonna be. And so it's almost gonna be like a hidden little door that only they will know how to access, which is super cool. We ran into this issue where, one, my mom wanted a bigger window here. So we've created a bigger window, but then we ran into this issue where you have like the slanted ceilings again. And so she had told us and the architect, like, I want to be able to like this area to look beautiful, because right now it kind of just looks like a janky setup of the architect. And so this entire wall is gonna be a beautiful panel wall as well to help create design. So like right when you walk in, there's more intentionality behind each room instead of just, white drywall with beams and everything in the way. So we're here to be able to show you from start to finish what that's going to look like. So follow along, press the follow button, like, subscribe, so that we can show you what the finished product is going to be like, and any tips and tricks on how to actually maximize a renovation.